Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another Hugo's Desk honest showreel reviews. So thank you so much for being here. As always, you're always supporting my channel so much. I'm already gonna warn you that I'm still a bit under the weather, so I still have a running nose and I'm still coughing a little bit, just like last week. So I do apologize if you can hear my coughing and my sneezing. I already apologize in advance. I hope you can hear me well. We have two showreel reviews to do today. And of course we have a giveaway as usual. Do let me know if the sound is fine, if you can hear me fine. I'm always a bit afraid because there was a long time ago there was once that we didn't have sound during the stream. So yeah, so before we start the showreel reviews, I just wanted to remind everyone that this stream would not be possible without the wonderful support of BenQ. So as you know, I've been using BenQ monitors for a long time, and I have reviews of BenQ monitors on my channel as well. If you want to check it out, they are all as unbiased as I can get. Of course, they're sponsors. You need to take it on a grain of salt, of course, but I do use them professionally for a long time now. We'll talk a bit more about that later. But for now, I'm just wanted to just thank BenQ for making these streams possible. And with that in mind, I'm going to leave you with a really quick, short commercial from BenQ. It's a really short, just to show you their latest offering for artists and photography monitors. And so this stream is sponsored by BenQ, and here's a short commercial from them. I'll see you all very soon. Okay, again, thank you so much, BenQ, for all the support. We'll be talking more and more in the coming weeks. We do these streams every 2 weeks, of course, don't forget. I'm going to start talking a little bit more about the monitors. So expect that to happen more in the streams, because I have a lot of questions from people always contacting me, asking me what monitors I use and what should they use and what kind of things that they propose. And so I'm going to start talking more about that because, as you know, I have 3 BenQ monitors at the moment on my command center here. I know I'm going to set up a better camera for this as well so that you can see all 3 of them in a row and you can see them all on my desk. But yeah, expect more content coming soon. Because one of the biggest questions I get from the chat is how to set up the monitors for their work and what should they use and what kind of color spaces is best. So expect that more in the future. Of course, I'm a bit under the weather today, so I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to do the showreel reviews, and then we'll have another stream in 2 weeks. And that reminds me, we do these streams every week, and of course basically it's every 2 weeks with BenQ and every 2 weeks with Foundry. So next week we won't have a stream though. The reason for that is because next week we still have a stream. What I meant is, like, we're not having a stream in 2 weeks from now. The main reason for that is because I'll be at FMX, and so FMX, which is by far I think my favorite festival for real. So I'll be there in 2 weeks from now. So we won't have a show review in 2 weeks. Next we'll still have the Foundry stream, as usual, and the Foundry stream will be broadcasted next week on Thursday. That's the it's already up on YouTube, so you can already click the little button so that you can put the notification. And of course, as usual, we'll be giving away a Nuke Indie license, courtesy of the Foundry. So expect that next week, and then in 2 weeks from now, I will not be here at Hugo's desk because I'll be at FMX. So if you are attending FMX in Germany and Stuttgart, do let me know. I'll be there. I would love to meet you and to say hello, and that's really it. And I'll be doing 3 events while I'm there. I'm gonna be doing for the first time the VFX notes. Here it is. The VFX Notes podcast. I have my shirt here. This is the podcast I do with Ian Fails, and we're going to be doing it with a live audience for the first time. So I'll be doing it with Ian, with a live audience, and we're going to have the amazing Michael Fink on the show as well as a guest. If you don't know, Michael Fink is an Oscar-winning visual effects supervisor. And he's supervised Batman Returns, like Braveheart, Mars Attack, X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 2, Constantine, Golden Compass, which he won the Oscar for, Avatar Tron Legacy. So it's going to be great to have a chat with him and with Ian. So that's going to be on Thursday, on the 25th of April, which is the day we usually do the stream. So that will be live at FMX. And then I'm going to be doing 2 more shows. I'll be doing the Foundry Education Power Hour. And this will be together with Ailey, with me, with Charlie, with Victor Perez as well, with Krista, and with Kirsten and Chris as well. So we're going to be doing a power hour about education. And so if you're there at FMX on Wednesday, do please join us. And then last but not least, I'm going to be part of a panel. This is the 2nd year running that I'll be doing it. This is the state of the industry. This is a very honest panel where we discuss the problems in the industry, and it's not recorded, so we are completely unhinged talking about the industry. And this will be with Christian, with Kay, myself, and Paolo. And so the 4 of us are going to be discussing the state of the industry. Usually it's multiple topics. We sometimes talk about AI, we talk about the jobs industry, we talk about the state of the companies. And so it's always a very heartfelt and very honest conversation for sure. And so that's why I'm not here in 2 weeks. So if you do have show reels that you would like to review, don't worry, I'll be back later on. I'll be back after that. Today, as usual, and I do apologize, I'm going to just mute myself because I need to sneeze. Apologies for that. Like I told you, I'm a bit under the weather. I do apologize for that. I had to blow my nose, and I still have this cold that is lingering with me, and every day I wake up a bit weird. So it's been taking a while for it to go away. So don't forget that we are giving away one of my Nuke courses at the end of the stream. The QR code is over there. You can see it. And just stick around until the end, and we'll giving it away. I'll put the link on the chat as well. And if you don't win the giveaway, you should know that, of course, my course is still for sale. I have 2 courses of Nuke for sale. A lot of my students are on the chat, so you can always ask them about their experience. But there are reviews on the channel as well. And yeah, and before we jump into the review itself, I just wanted to give a quick shout out, uh, as I always do every week, to my wife's book. And so, as you know, probably by now, my wife finally released her Green Recipes for All book. You don't need to be vegan, you don't need to be vegetarian. Just don't forget that this is just for good food. And it has 50 something recipes, ranging from salads to main dishes to desserts, of course, favorites. It has Portuguese dishes, it has Mediterranean dishes, and of course, my favorites, which is desserts. Like, for example, Portuguese arroz doce, which is here. So, if you're interested in good food and relaxing and maybe sharing food with your friends, don't be sure to support my wife's book. If you do like good food, it's called Green Recipes for All, and it's available on all Amazon marketplaces. I know I only put the UK shop here and the US shop, but it is available on all marketplaces, and it's available on hardcover, paperback, and also on Kindle as well, if you prefer a digital version. So consider supporting. This was a huge project. I'm hugely proud of my wife. I helped her a little bit with the photos and the design, but this is all her, all Anna's project, and it was a really cool project to do for the last 2 years. Never did a book before. It's amazing. Okay, cool. And with that in mind, let's just start the showreel review, the first one. I do apologize if someone gets annoyed of all this promotion, but someone has to pay the bills, so I do have to shout out my sponsor, and I do have to shout out all the events that I'm doing. I do promise that now we're gonna do a show review. Thank you so much, Sanam. Sanam just became a member on Hugo's desk, and so his name will be on the credits of the podcast from now on. Thank you so much, Sanam, for becoming a member. Remember, you can become a member or a Patreon of my channel, and then your name will be on the credits on every episode of the Visual Effects Notes podcast. I can't thank you enough, both to you, Sanam, but also to all the members and all the Patreons that support my channel for years. We're almost going to be 9 years in August, and I can't thank you enough. It's overwhelming, the amount of support I get. So I, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for that. Okay. With that in mind, let's start with the first review of the day. Remember, you can always send the showreel to... you have the link on the description of this video if you would like to send it. But as I keep saying every week, if you do want to send your showreel for review, you need to make sure you confirm with me that you will be on the reel, because if you don't confirm your slot, I won't be able to review your showreel. You have to confirm your slot. I need to know if you have a microphone. All those things need to happen for me to be able to do the showreel review. Because I also need to download the showreel. I need to check it. I need to check if it's all good. So please keep that in mind if you are considering sending your showreel over. You always have to confirm with me. Okay, so let's bring the first contestant on board. Let's do this here real quick. So remember, I'm doing this on Google Meet now lately, and it's been a bit tricky. It's not as easy as it should be, but sometimes Google Meet is a bit finicky, that's for sure. Okay, so let's see here if I can get this to work. Hopefully I can, and then they can see me. So okay, so I have Riley here. Okay, link is here. Let me see if I can bring them in, and then share with you when he comes in. Ah, thanks so much. My wife Anna is on the chat. I love you, Anna. Thank you so much for supporting the stream and being here. You can see that she's here watching. Go and check her website or YouTube channel, Green Recipes for All. There's a lot of recipes there and a lot of really cool videos. And all the videos are 4K and they were done with Aces and DaVinci. They were all shot in 6K. So if you want to have a good experience, you can always watch them there. Okay, so Riley, are you here? Let's see if he's showing up any minute now, so that I can bring him into the show. And I'm gonna bring in. Okay, is he here? I'm gonna bring in his showreel as well, so that I have it on hand. Again, I do apologize that I'm a bit under the weather. Mikhail, thank you, Mikhail, thank you so much for becoming a member. Thank you so much for becoming a member of my Google channel, of my YouTube channel. So now your name will be on the credits of the podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, we do it on Aces. Yes, we filmed the recipes in 6K with a Blackmagic Pocket. Someday I need to do a video about that. We shoot them in 6K Pocket, and then we edit the videos on DaVinci in 4K, and we use Aces and grade them on DaVinci on my Surface. So I basically apply a regular visual effects pipeline, which is funny, but you know, it's the only way I can roll. Okay, so is Riley gonna show up, or can you log in? I don't think he's showing up. Apologies for the delay. Still waiting for him to come in. I don't think he's here. I don't see him. No, he's definitely not here. Yeah, I should do a behind the scenes of the videos for sure. So Riley, are you going to be coming in soon, or should we skip and go to the next contestant? You're going to be coming in? He did confirm with me before, and just about 10 minutes ago he said yes. So I do apologize that well, if you have questions, you can always ask. Yeah, interview with Anna. Yes, I have been considering bringing Anna over to the stream so we can talk about the book for a while now. I haven't told her yet, but I was planning to do that. Is Riley gonna come in? Are you coming in? Are you having issues, Riley? Should I skip and have the next review? Okay, can you come in? If he's not showing up, maybe I'll bring in the next person. I hope they're ready, because I wasn't expecting. In the meantime, if anyone has a question, please go ahead. I can always answer the questions if you do have questions. Last time on the last stream, you had so many questions. It was unbelievable. Okay, Riley is coming in now. No, we never did any VFX on the videos, no. Everything you see, all the food is all real. All the food is real, no CG. But I understand that these days people might think that there is CG, since everything is is hidden these days. So, okay, Riley, I'm still waiting here. Are you gonna come in, or what? Are you coming? You said you. Okay, you just answered. You said you coming in. Let me just. I'm gonna just mute my mic for a second. Okay, I have another name now, but I'm hopefully it's them. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool, excellent. You have another name on your
Yeah, it's my wife's PC, so I just quickly jumped on.
That's not a problem. Okay, so we're gonna just see. I'm gonna put this in full screen. Just give me a second,
Okay.
so that everyone can see you as well. Okay, so You are now live with. Oh, sorry. Apologies. That was my
No.
mistake. I did one thing wrong there. Apologies. Just give me a second. It's not going smoothly today, is it? Oh, I know why. Never mind. Never mind. My fault. My fault. There we go. Okay. So everyone now can see you as well. So yeah. Thank you so much for joining, Riley. Riley is your name, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So Riley, thank
You
you
for
so
having
much
me.
for joining. It's wonderful to have you. Yeah, why don't you give us a little bit of an intro of yourself? What you do? Where you calling from? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, as you said, my name's Riley. I'm a junior layout artist. I'm living in Australia, and I just finished my bachelor's in film and TV, where I did a internship at Rising Sun Pictures. I'm just waiting for everything to ramp back up after the strikes. Yeah, hoping I can start my career sometime soon.
Yeah, of course, of course. And so you said you're a junior. How long have you been like fooling around with CG and 3D and all of that?
Um, Almost just over 3 years now.
Okay, cool.
I was a filmmaker. Was a cinematographer and editor before going into CG, and I'd watched a couple Blender tutorials, and I was like, you know what, this is actually quite fun when I focus on this for a bit, and yeah, I've fallen into a deep rabbit hole of hyperfixation now.
And so what's your plan? Like what do you want to do? What you said you're in Australia, like do you already looking for work? You're already working on an internships? How's it going?
Well, as I said, I just finished my internship with Rising Sun
Hmm.
here in Adelaide in October. Um, I was there for like a year, where they like taught us how to do, every department and gave us, we got to like shadow people and all that kind of stuff, which was really fun. Um, it was funny going in February and they're like, this is the best time to get into VFX. 90% of people who do this course get a job. And then by the time we got to October, it was like, maybe wait a bit. But yeah, I'm just waiting. If nothing comes up soon, I'm thinking about going back from my postgraduate where I'd be studying again at Rising Sun.
Hmm.
Keep my presence felt, ear to the ground. I'm in there in the company, so to speak. But yeah, no.
Hmm.
So that's my immediate plan.
You mentioned that you were a filmmaker before. So what you did other kinds of things before you started doing CG?
Yeah, went to film school and I did. I majored in cinematography and editing. So
Cool.
I did that for about 7 years. I worked for. I did like jobs for clients like the Australian Broadcasting Company and the Australian Space Agency and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
It was cool. It was just so expensive filmmaking, so I kind of I just found doing the CG stuff is like I can do everything I want to do out there and also do way cooler stuff like space stuff, which is where I really first fell in love with CG.
Ah, cool, cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna put your show reel so everyone can see, and then I'm also gonna share my screen, so
Mhm.
that everyone can see your show reel. So if you just give me a second, I'm just gonna like pull it up so that
Oh, good.
everyone sees it. And I'm gonna loop it. No, I'm not gonna have sound on it because I don't want to be tagged on YouTube as
Yeah, sorry
usual.
about that. I only
No,
thought about that after I uploaded. It's like, oh, that's copyrighted music.
no, it's fine. They do that all the time on YouTube. So I've learned my lesson a couple of years ago where I had those kind of problems and then I never did it again. Don't worry. So okay, so I'm gonna just like bring you up here as well so people can see you as well. So okay, so just to give me a second. I'm gonna share my screen, okay? So Okay, entire screen. Okay, so screen one, that would be me. Yeah, you see my screen probably, don't you?
Yes, yes, I do.
Okay, cool, excellent. So I'm gonna just like new and unpin and unpin. Just give me a second. Okay, cool. So okay, cool, excellent. So okay, yeah, like I said before, I'm a bit like the experience of Google Meet has been a bit underwhelming, and sometimes I'm having some issues with it. So I do apologize to everyone that it's looking a bit less sleek than what I used to do before, because I stopped using Google. I stopped using Zoom for a while now. So that's why. But anyway, people can now see it, and I can loop it, and I was hoping I could have it on the top of everything, but apparently I can't, because as soon as I put this in full screen, you vanish. So which is a shame. So I'm not gonna put it in full screen because I want people to still see it. So see us. Okay, I think this is the best. I still need to like get a best way. I stopped you. I know this is not the conversation about what we're doing here, but stopped using Zoom because Zoom just increased their price for no reason, 3 times more expensive, and I can afford them, of course, but I just can't vouch for a company that just does that out of the blue. You know, they just started charging 3 times more, and I just said no, fuck that. I'm not paying that, so I'm not using Zoom anymore. And
Maybe
so
Discord
I'm
would be a good shout. Maybe.
yeah, exactly. I'm thinking of doing that. I'm looking at solutions. So this is a temporary solution that I'm using Google Meet for now. But I'm looking at the solutions because I just didn't really enjoy the way they just
Yeah.
made it like more expensive just because they want to, you know. Because why not? Yeah, you're right, Francesco. I thought there was an option of always on top, but I'm not finding it for some reason, which is weird. I really thought there was a way of putting it always on top, but I'm not really finding it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's just keep going with this. Okay, here's the show reel. Everyone can see it now. And so, tell us a little bit about this. Like, is this all personal work? Does it also have professional work? Like, what's going on here?
I've not done any professional work yet, so I'm really like I've done one shot which was professional, and it was just Earth, and it was like my first job ever, and it
Okay.
was for my tiny little production company. So it's not I'm not like a professional artist
Okay.
at all. A lot of this I followed some tutorials like that black hole that just went past. That was a tutorial.
Okay.
Um, or like these Millennium Falcon models were sourced from the Star Wars Battlefront game. But yeah, no, I found myself just doing small little projects by myself. There are a couple shots in this. Not I call it the tentacle shot. It's like a kaiju in a city kind of thing. That was my final project for my degree. This one.
Mm-hmm.
So this was done completely in Houdini, which was quite a shock going from Blender to Houdini. So yeah, no, yeah, it's just mostly personal projects and then some school
Okay.
stuff as well.
Okay. Well, let's start with the first one. So and then go through that. So tell us a little bit about the first one here. Tartus in environment. Of course, I'm assuming you're a big fan of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And so layout and animation. So this was from. Let's start with the technical side. How did you achieve this? Was what software? What kind of render engine? What are you using here?
This is Blender Cycles
Okay.
with some compositing done in DaVinci Resolve. Most of the models were sourced. The TARDIS was from Sketchfab, and the environment was my first play with Bridge, with the scans from that. The mountain in the background was just a procedural displacement thing where I was messing about with the ant, and then yeah, I just placed out stuff where I thought it might look pretty and animated through. Also, it was my first play with particle systems for doing grass as well
Mm-hmm.
at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Yeah, especially in the beginning. Well, first thing I would say to you is, as much as I appreciate the shot, it is a bit of a shame that you're fading and you're having text on top because you're kind of like covering a lot of the shot with this text. So I think I would recommend you not to have the text here because it's just like hiding a lot of it, which is a shame. It would have been nice for us to see the shot from the very beginning without being covered. Now, in terms of I actually think your beginning is quite nice. I think this is really nice, the work you've done here with the grass and the work you've done with the depth of field. It looks quite realistic in terms of a cinematography shot, and it looks quite nice in terms of an angle and a composition shot that you've done. Now, where it kind of falls apart a little bit for me is when you get into the lake, to the lake worse, or not lake, like this kind of like liquid, kind of like, I'm not sure if it's a lake or if it's like a puddle or something, but it's like a darker liquid. I think it kind of falls apart a little bit because I think your texture work, I don't know if it's just the texture work, but also maybe, I don't know if the lighting is just not bouncing enough light to it, but it's really incredibly contrasted and incredibly crushed into the blacks. And so I'm not
yeah,
entirely sure if this is coming from your CG or if it's coming from a mostly extreme grade that you might have applied to it,
it was this was very early days, so I didn't quite understand how the color system worked on Blender. So yeah, a
Okay.
lot of it got crushed, and the textures I didn't understand, like UV mapping or like, and I
Yeah.
was working on my iMac at the time, so the
Yeah.
power of it for displacement wasn't the best as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's really not helping the shot, and also you can kind of see from the reflection, which looks almost like tar. It looks like almost like this kind of like million of years liquid of oil or something.
Yeah,
Your reflections are also completely crushed. I'm gonna take us out of here for a second so that we can actually see this in full screen because. So apologies for people on the audience. You're not going to see us for the moment, but I just want to show this corner here. And so you can see my mouse, can't you? So,
yeah,
yeah. So, I mean, you see there's no detail whatsoever on this reflection. Something must have happened where all the detail you had on the on the tartars and all the detail you had like on the rocks, they're all gone. So it's like either the reflection is way too contrasted or something happened there. So that's problem number one. I think problem number two is that it looks to me like the texturing quality, the quality of the texture is not holding up for how close you are. You can kind of see that the detailing and the texturing is low quality, and also maybe it is not even like displaced as it should because it looks very flat, very low polygonal. I think I basically think you need to bring in detail to this. I think that's the most important thing, to just put as much detail as possible, because it kind of work on the back there. You see this back there is kind of working, but it's the front that is not really working, and it's a
yeah,
real shame because I think it starts quite well. This is quite detailed. There were grass, and I like the blur as well. So it's really when you go into the tar to the liquid that kind of falls a bit apart.
yeah,
Um, and then the other thing as well is that your sky dome, I'm assuming that's the sky dome from Blender. It looks to me like it's too low resolution. So I can kind of see the frozen grain on the sky. It should really not have frozen pixels. You can kind of see it here. See, you kind of see the typical
yeah,
compression artifacts of the JPEG or of the image that you have there. I would really recommend you to replace it by a sky that have more detail and more sharp. Maybe take your own photo of your own sky, and be sure if there is noise, be sure to denoise that sky so that it's clean, because everything else is clean, but then the sky is not. It has frozen grain into it. And so that's another thing. And if you do take a picture, you can always like photograph it with a very low ISO, and then you have a very clean image, you know. And then the other thing as well is, like, I think that with such a cloudy day, I would have expected a lot more light to bounce back into the environment. I feel like this looks very muted, you know. But, you know, I am, of course, I mean, I hope you don't mind. I'm giving you as much as feedback as possible, but don't take it don't take it the wrong way, please. And
no.
you know,
And as I said before, this was one of my very early days.
Yeah, of course.
I've actually lost this file now, so even if I wanted to fix it up.
But be careful though, because this is the first thing we see on your showreel, and so, you know, your showreel lives and dies for the first thing you put in, you know, and so sometimes a recruiter might switch off a showreel if they don't like the first shot. So be careful with that, because they might not even, you know, because you need to understand they might have hundreds of shots to watch, and so they might not have the time to care about the rest of the showreel, or might they scrub it real quick. But if they don't like the first shot, they might just skip it. So be careful with that. And so if you don't have the files and you can't tweak this, I would recommend you removing it from your showreel, unless you can fix some of it with grading or with other things. But it's just the quality of the texturing and the quality of the render itself is not really not there, you know. So, and you know, like Mikhail is suggesting on the chat, maybe use an HDR for the lighting and have that as a sky plate for the camera instead of using this that you use, because I'm assuming this is not an HDR, because HDRs usually don't have so much grain, you know. So yeah. Okay, cool. So let's move on to the next shot. So next shot here, campfire. Layout, effects, and lighting. Tell us a little bit about this.
This was another one of, you know, following a tutorial and changing it up. The fire is just a video playing on planes that are wrapped around the logs. I was more trying to work out. I was trying to work out how to do EXR matting. And how that would work in a foggy scene. I just started doing Nuke Indie license at this point, and I was really trying to have a play with that and get some shots going for the showreel.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, this is looking cool. I like this shot. It has its problems, of course, but it is quite nice. If this is a video that you wrapped in the log and the geometry, that's really nice. That's really well done, because you would have fooled me. I would have thought that this was some kind of particle system that you've done. So you did a really good job there, and I like the dirt on the lens and the flare, and you do have a really good eye for composition and for the you know, perhaps it's from your film background and DOP background, but you do have a good eye to make a good looking shot for sure.
Thank you.
And this is a good looking shot. I really like the atmosphere. I like the way that you hardly see the trees behind, and I do think this shot is really. This shot just needs more compositing love. You need more motion blur on the foreground trees. You know, you need like perhaps a little bit of depth of field going on, both for the foreground trees and also the background trees, you know, because if they would have filmed this at night, they probably would have used the low f-stop, so you would have probably most likely had like a quite shallow, you know, so it would probably be like that with a lot of defocusing, and it would have really helped to make it more realistic. These branches in the front, and especially motion blurring, would help as well. But that would have helped. But yeah, it's a good looking shot. The other thing as well that I would say is from a rendering and texturing and quality point of view, wouldn't be wouldn't be too far-fetched if these pieces of wood would probably be a little bit more wrapped around fire. I think there should be also fire in the front, maybe coming through and in the back, maybe even a little bit more incandescent in certain parts of it. It does look to me like your fire is too big and too powerful for the wood that looks almost like it's the end of a fire and not the beginning of it. So it's
Right.
it's a little bit of a but still, this is a small nitpick. I do think the shot is quite nice. So well done.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to the next shot. So Hogwarts flyby, fan of Harry Potter, I see, and so layout and lighting. So tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
I was trying to recreate the a shot from, I think, one of the later movies where they go really brown and really foggy for some reason. Their daytimes look like night times. So that was the look I was trying to achieve. But again, this was another one of the early days renders on the Mac. So there is a lot of, the tar water kind of, again, because I didn't know how to do water at this point, and some texturing issues specifically on the rocks. And then I kind of nuked the grade too much. If I could find the file, I'd go back and re-render this, but I needed to fill out the showreel, honestly.
You already pointed out some of the problems. I think besides the problems you pointed out as well, there's like a little bit of a problem going on with your motion blur. There's I don't think you have enough samples, because I can actually see the banding of the filtering. I can kind of see the lines of them. So it probably needs a higher step on. I can see the steps. It needs more steps on the quality of the motion blur. And yes, the water is a little bit weird, but I don't think it's that bad. I think it's when it gets to the castle that I have a few more issues. I do think that you did a relatively good job on the top area here. I do like the way your atmospheres go in and out, and the way the castle is quite nice architecture and quite nice detailed, and you have the little pings of lights.
I didn't model this. I didn't model this.
You just rendered it, okay?
Yeah, I'm not a modeler. I never model.
Yeah, of course. But I do like the way you've integrated the fog and everything. That's nice. But I do think it breaks up a bit on the bottom here. I think, again, you have too low quality on the textures of the rocks. The resolution, and also the amount of geometry is just too low. It just looks to me a very low polygon asset, and it kind of reminds me like of a video game. It's not really up to spec to be a production shot. And also the fog is a nice idea, but I think it's kind of ruining the scale a bit, because your fog, the wisps and the parts of the smoke are so big that makes the whole thing look like a miniature. It's like really cutting the scale a bit. So the scale is a bit off.
I was trying to mess around with planes, like trying to work with fog planes, but the assets I was using were much smaller scenes, and I'm blowing them up and they don't match.
Yeah, exactly. And good point from Rodrigo Souza here on Rodrigo Sosa here from the chat, that the sky that you have on the water reflected is a lot brighter than the sky itself, and I think that is a bit of a, you have to decide, either have bright sky here and then bright sky here as well, or then dark sky and not dark sky there,
there's a sky plane in the background where I was focusing on I get this look pretty, and then what I didn't know at the time.
That's cool. Okay, so next up, this one, black hole. So the black hole layout, look, dev, effects, and lighting. Tell us a little bit about this.
So this was following a tutorial on YouTube. Um, I think this might be my earliest shot in the showreel. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I was, trying to recreate a lot of movie scenes I've seen, so I could, how would I redo this in a 3D space was my kind of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of early days compositing, Blender Compositor, rather than Nuke or DaVinci, so it's very over the top in terms of the uh, what's the words, chromatic aberration
Mm-hmm.
and streaking and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I
But
know. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to like. I'm assuming you're trying to do homage to the Interstellar shot.
yes,
And I think you somehow have achieved a bit of it, but it's still it perhaps is a little bit too overexposed for it to be as good as that one.
mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where it's missing really. And I think you need to be careful because when people will compare, your shot, they will always remember the Interstellar shot, and so that's not really going to help you. you know,
Okay,
Either you need to make it as close as possible to the Interstellar shot, or you need to make something else. I'm
okay,
gonna pull up the Interstellar shot so I can tell you what I mean.
yeah,
So let's see here. I want to make sure I find the one that is from the film itself and not from some random person posting something else. Okay, this is a film from the shot. Yeah, found it. Yeah. I think that's the one. Okay, so I'm gonna just like pull it up. I'm not gonna play the shot itself, but I have a still from it here, so hopefully that's the one. Yeah, so that's a shot from the film. And so as you can see, you got quite close. But the thing that you need to consider is that people are always going to watch to this. They're going to think about this shot, and so you need to make it as close as possible. If you ever redo this, or if you ever do it again, I think your white is just too gray out. It's
yeah,
not yellowish. The white needs to be yellowish, and it needs to
mm-hmm.
have a stronger glow that feeds into the blacks. You see how the glow goes in here, and it kind of actually glows quite. The spread of the glow is huge. But as
Yeah,
you can see, you got really close. I'm gonna put it up here so
stars
you
are
can
too
see it. You see?
exposed.
Yeah. But let me just minimize this and take that out from here so we don't have too many windows on the back here. Yeah, so just these two. You see, well done. Really well done. I think, and also the other thing, as you can see, is the stars should be a lot smaller,
Yeah,
like a much smaller. And I do think that you don't need the dirt on the lens. It could be more clean. But you did a great job. Like, look, your inner line is great, is really matching, just like the inner line here. Your like the sparse particles on the side here, they're looking quite close. It's really just needs to be with a more realistic diffuse glow, and it needs to be sharper and more pristine. And then the
yeah.
stars need to be a bit smaller, and then
Mm-hmm.
you nail it. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
It's a really look good and look shot. And let's not pretend here. This is a shot from DNEG. It's an Oscar-winning shot. So I'm not expecting you to do it.
Yeah,
I think you got quite close, and it's quite nice for you to achieve that by yourself, because obviously DNEG's shot was a huge amount of people that worked on it, not just one person. So well done. I
thank you.
think you did
Thank
really
you.
well. Cool. And also really nice if you're saying that this is one of your first shots. That's really good, man. Well done with that.
Thank you. I mean, I followed a tutorial, but thank you very much.
Okay, cool. So let's move on here. Okay, so we have Doctor Who Black Sun intro concept. So Very nice looking, I think very nice looking motion blur that you got here going on. Rendering and lighting is looking really nice. I think there's a bit of a there's some black edges going on here
Yeah.
around the TARDIS, and I think it's might be coming from the compositing side than anything else.
Yeah, it was a pre-malted alpha channel.
Yeah,
I've learned how to fix that now, but
cool,
at the time I was learning, I yeah,
cool. This is a real good looking shot. I
thank
like
you.
what you've done with the effects and the background. Motion blur is really spot on. The glow between the windows is really spot on. The lighting in general is really nice. This is a nice shot that you've done here.
Thank you very much.
Apart from the black edges, and then really like the shake, and then of course the way it disappears. It's quite nice, quite well matched with the show. Maybe from an artistic point of view, I would say that perhaps I wouldn't put so much dark dirt on the lens. I think you
Yeah.
went a bit too far, um, but it is looking cool. Okay, now we have Star Wars flyby. So layout, layout. No, sorry, layout, lighting, and animation. Tell us a little bit about this.
These are just all models sourced from Battlefront. Um, you can really tell which one of mine are the early ones because my chromatic aberration is way over the top. um, but this was me, I was going into it like, oh, what would be cool to see? What would I do if I was, playing with the toys in my hand, and how would I recreate that in 3D space and trying to recreate certain shots from Star Wars. So I took influence from this was me trying to do like a modern remake of Han leaving Tatooine
Hmm.
in episode 4. So I was like, okay, I've seen the original. What would I do if I was making it now? And this was about like maybe 3 months into my Blender, like my 3D, uh,
Yeah,
what's the word? Timeline.
yeah. Cool. I think it looks good, but there is some issues, of course. Like I think again, your stars are too big. They
Yep.
look like dots. Need to be a lot smaller. I also think it lacks detail. Like the ship itself lacks texturing detail, especially when you look at the way that there's no detail whatsoever here. You're missing like extra paneling, extra dirt and grit. The windows are too clean. Like it just needs more
Yeah.
detail overhaul. I think it's definitely. It's funny that Mikhail is like talking about Andrew Hoxton. Andrew, if you watch his streams on Twitch, he's really like he's an outstanding modeler. Really, he's a really senior model.
Mhm.
Worked on a lot of companies also at DNEG, but you should check out his streams. And he really has a fantastic eye for hard surface detail, and especially to introduce detail into things, even if the detail is made up, or even if the detail is pretend detail, but it's just missing paneling, it's missing detail, it's just missing overall grit and different colors of some panels being older, some panels being newer.
Yeah.
It's just too gray, and so that is definitely that is definitely missing here. We'll talk about the thematic in a minute because I want to talk about that in your show reels. But and then you have the trench run redone, layout, lighting, effects, and animation. What's going on here? Is this also from assets from Battlefront? Is that what is going on here?
Yeah, yeah. So the X Wings are assets from Battlefront. The Y Wings are assets from Battlefront. The trench kit bash is a purchased asset from I'm not sure where anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I was experimenting with geometry nodes and
Mm-hmm.
uh, trying to set up a scene where there's different levels of detail as you go out from
Mm-hmm.
away from it. And this was what. one of my earliest nuke um, composites. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of experiments in trying to teach myself these programs to, jump ahead of the course almost.
Yeah, of course. No, I think you did a good job, but there is definitely a lot to be learned here to be done. So you, first of all, it is looking a bit strange that it doesn't end really, because usually things that are really really far into distance, they kind of like, I don't know if it would be a combination of blurring or a combination of just like getting it a bit more softer on the back. It's just looking a bit strange that it's not really, that you can kind of clearly see a line between where your trench is and then the rest is just almost like a gray texture. So there's no connection there. And also, again, the surface here, and I know this is not your model, but it just needs more detail. It needs different little tones of gray. It needs different panels. It just looks very unfinished. And it's also very noisy, super noisy. So it really requires a lot more antilization on render time and a lot more filtering.
I went overboard with film grain because I was like, oh, it's 1974, lots of film grain, but probably too much.
Yeah. It's a nice experiment for sure. And then, like you have other little problems. Like, I do like your light interaction. That's really nice. But you do have a lot of flickering going on, a lot of really random little pungs of light that show up in the ships as well. So it's definitely, there's something kind of like wrong going on the render. But like Mikhail is suggesting on the chat, that's a really good suggestion. Maybe you could have had some air distortion near the exhausts so that you have like the heat haze coming out from the exhausts. That would have been a nice idea.
I tried doing that with if you see on like the laser blasts, that they were just cylinders, and then in Nuke I was able to get like a noise distortion thing
going in.
I tried to apply it to the engines, but it didn't really seem to work as much.
Yeah. Well, for the engine, you would have had to have some kind of flame that comes out of it. So you basically would have had to do what I would suggest you would be like in particles, you do a turbulence coming out of it, but then just use it as a mask for the iDistort node, or you could use some of the distortion nodes in Nukipedia. There's a couple of gizmos there that you could use. That would have worked, but it always needs to have a mask that you use as a beginning of that distortion, So, cool. Okay, and then we have Spider-Man. So tell us a bit about this.
So this is me following Peter France's Spider-Man tutorial. My first ever project in Blender was Spider-Man, but that was janky. I think is a nice way to put it. So about a year after I did my first assignment, I was like, why not revisit it? Why not see, if I can make it look a bit better now that I'm, a year in. And, there's a lot of things I would change if I did it now. I'd like clean up the animation. I would clean up the lighting a bit. The camera motion like stops dead and then adjusts to Spider-Man there, and that's always bugged me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, but at this point, I was mainly focusing on. I'm always focusing on the composition of the shot rather than other elements, and I think that always kind of lets me down these single person projects.
Yeah, I think that I definitely think that's not the biggest issue that the shot has. I think you have other issues on the shot that you need to address, and this is a recurring thing. This is a quick note there, Francesco. I am aware of that there is no distortion in space. Yes, there is vacuum, and we would not have distortion, but who cares? It looks cool. And so I'm pretty sure that if you watch any J.J. Abrams film, you will see distortion on space. And so there's also flares on his films as well, and they don't exist either. So I think yes, you're right. If this was a realistic film, maybe you wouldn't see any distortion. But I think that since this is Star Wars, I don't think anyone cares. Star Wars has fire on space, like they actually have fire, and you
Sound.
see the ships explode, and you always see balls of fire, which is impossible in space as well. so it's a bit a mute point to talk about that. I think Riley, this shot really showcases one of the problems you have throughout your entire reel. I think you just have lack of detail. There's lack of detail on the texturing. There's lack of detail on the geometry. These are just too clean, these assets. Like all the materials are just super clean, almost one single color. There's no grit on them. There's no dirt on them. There's no, any building has areas that are a bit more weathered out. You're missing the weathering of buildings. You're missing the grit and grime that buildings usually have. You're just missing detail, and a lot of times your assets on most of these shots, they just look very clean and very much, I must say, don't get me the wrong way, I think they look too much like video game. This looks to me like a shot from Spider-Man 2 from the PlayStation 5, instead of an
Whenever I
actual
get
shot.
feedback from my wife, she goes, "Does this look like a video game? Does she look like real life?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah, exactly. I do think, you see, Mikael has a good point as well. Like, where's the AC units on the windows with little fans? Where's, like, someone might have one of the windows is open, or there's like different light inside that window on some of them. But besides putting detail on the texturing and also more assets and break it up, you're also, I just think it needs more breakup, so that everything is a bit more broken up. And then also, I do think you have several issues on your motion blur for sure, because this is just going berserk. If you go frame by frame, there is something going terribly wrong with your motion blur. And I know you notice it when it goes through camera, because there's something wrong. You see that frame, like it just looks a bit strange. So, okay, cool. Let's then move on to the next one, which is the Terminator, isn't it? So the Terminator 2 remake, you're trying to do that famous shot, and I think you did really good. I think it's one of the most accomplished shots you have here. Yes, you have a bit of noise on the rendering, but I think you really nailed the lighting and nailed the grit on it. I still think your gun is not detailed enough.
Yeah.
It's really strange that it looks almost like it's a gun made of stone. So it's definitely, and again, be careful with these things, because people are always going to compare it to the original, because this is the problem of using stuff that everyone knows, that's the problem. Let me just see here if I can find the actual shot. Because everyone knows this thing, and so you're gonna get into trouble. That's the problem. Let's see here. So okay, okay. Let's see if I
the actual showreel itself was part of a uni assignment. Like, we have to have a showreel at the end of the thing, ready to go for industry night, and this whole thing was going to be a collaboration between 3 people, and we had a mate who was going to do like the skull crush and the explosions in the background, and unfortunately he had to pull out because of family issues. So we had to go ahead with just my other friend did the model and the rig, and then I did the animation, the lighting, and texturing.
Yeah,
and that's where we're up now.
Okay, I see.
So
That's fine.
there's an explosion in that frame that is completely missing. So
Yeah, of course,
yeah.
but I understand that. Again, I'm not expecting you to do the same as the film. You know, the film is the film, and it's always gonna look better because it was done by multiple people. But I'm just like cognizant for you to be careful when you're using things that everyone knows. Be careful because like some people will start comparing it, and you see immediately the gun was the first thing I noticed right away. You see your gun, it just lacks detail. It lacks little holes, little vents. It looks, the texturing looks wrong. It just doesn't look correct. If you look at the real gun has some vents here. It also has a more metallic looking look. You know, it's just missing. I think the rest you did a good job. It's not entirely matching, of course, but I don't think that matters. But I think it's just really the gun that is letting you down there, because it's just not as good as the rest of the shot. You know, it's just look into that and try to see if you can get more detail into that gun. You know,
Yeah.
the explosion though, yes, I know it's missing, but that's fine. I mean, I don't see the beginning of the shot though. Did you render the beginning as well? Because you just start with
I,
grayscale.
I was rendering like the day we had the industry night, so it was very rushed. Like, oh, I can't render the beginning with all these particles in the background. What can I do? I'll make it like a fade from the play blast to the final product.
I see. It's okay. Okay, so let's move on then. Next up, we have something called RSPFX project. What's this is all about?
So this was my final project at Rising Sun, the internship. We had to we had to do an FX project in Houdini, so I had to relearn everything, and I actually single-handedly broke the farm at Rising Sun because of my scene, which wasn't the best outcome, but we fixed it, and I'm pretty happy with the final result. There are some errors in that, unfortunately, that I know about. Like I can see you're looking at it right now with the ghosting of the building in the top right. Unfortunately, I just ran out of time to re-render, and I don't have access to the scene because it's on the farm. So, but this whole showreel was for my industry night, so it would be weird if I finished my course and then at the industry night at the end of the course not show what I've done in the course. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I think it's a great shot. I think you did well. This is definitely one of the best shots of the showreel, for sure. Yeah, there's issues, of course. There's some the rain is a bit weird, and there's a lot of noise, and the rain looks very strange with it, which it's really thick and has like small little circles inside of it. So, and also there's areas with more rain than others. Like there's more rain in here, but then less rain there. So there's a few inconsistencies, and kind of like, again, it looks a bit CG. There's not enough detail on certain things, but I think your atmospherics look great, and the shot itself is really well. It's a really good composition. I really like your fog. Really like the interaction between the light and the fog. So I think it's a well done shot. And I'm sure you know the problems you have. I like the way your windows have some water coming through them. It's nice. It's a nice shot.
Thank you. Thank you.
But it does need more work for it to be there.
Yeah.
And I think now that we've reached the end, I think that overall, Riley, your showreel, the whole thing looks very incomplete, and I feel there's a couple of things I wanted to say, and don't get this wrong, but I think you rely too much on very established franchises. You do Terminator, and you do Star Wars, and you do Doctor Who, and I think you should actually leave that behind. The reason I'm saying that, and also Harry Potter as well, is because the reason I'm saying that is because you are going to, and Interstellar as well, you're going to be always unfairly compared to those shots. You know, it's going to be unfair to you because like those shots were done by dozens of people. They're like industry experts that do those kind of shots, and so you're always going to be in a place where people are going to compare it to the real shots of the film. And because you didn't reach the quality of the film, which is impossible, you can't do it by yourself. That's not going to happen. No matter how good you are, all these shots are always going to be done by a lot of people, not just by one person. Unless you spend several years doing the shots by yourself. You know, yes, if you spend years working on them, maybe you'll get there, but not on the realistic time frame. And so I would advise you to try to do shots that are more your shots. You know, I would advise you in the future, when you do a showreel, to do more regular things that we do in the industry. You know, like maybe try to think about doing assets that have to do, you know, maybe do a table with stuff on the desk, or maybe do a typewriter, or maybe do a phone, maybe do a car, maybe try to light and render things that have everyday use, because that is definitely missing in your showreel. Your showreel is very fantastic, and it has a lot of film franchises, but it's missing the everyday stuff we do as artists.
Yep.
You know, most CG artists, most lighters, most renderers, and even most compositors do the most mundane stuff on films. You know, they end up doing a few buildings on the background, or they do a parking lot with cars, or they do if there's a racetrack, they put extra race cars in the racetrack, you know. So those are the kind of challenges you should be trying to figuring out. Like, not saying you should do that, but give an example. Let's say you have a shot of a race car, you know, like you have a couple of cars passing on a racetrack, and you decide to put a CG car in the middle of the other two race cars, you know. So that means you're accomplishing a completely photoreal car that you're trying to put in the racetrack. Or if you are building a city landscape, maybe keep the city landscape and then add more buildings to the city landscape, or extend the buildings that you have there. Try to figure out things that have more to do with augmenting shots, because the majority of CG these days is augmenting stuff that it already exists, or replacing what it exists. So sometimes we have a plate and then we replace things from it. So that's missing in your showreel. Because, and again, don't get me wrong, I think your showreel is almost looking like a fan showreel, you know? Almost looks like a fan project. Yeah. Oh, I'm a big fan of these films, and I'm gonna do like an ode to them, and oh, look at it, and then you post it on Instagram, and oh, cool, I did Doctor Who, and I did Star Wars, and I did Harry Potter. But is it gonna give you a job? Perhaps not. You need to be careful, because I don't think it's good enough for you to get a job. The industry is very competitive, especially now, and you're just missing the typical tasks that would be expected from you as a CG artist, a generalist, which is what I'm thinking that you're trying to be, really. You know, so that's what you want, right? Like, I'm assuming. I know you wrote previs and layout artist, but I'm assuming you're looking at your showreel. I'm thinking that you want to be a generalist, right?
I wanted to be a generalist, but now I've really comfortably fallen into layout artist. I have another showreel where it's more like tracking stuff, but I didn't think that would be applicable to this kind of review. So I thought I'd send in my previous one, which had a lot of stuff from when I was trying to be a generalist. But you know, I'm looking at layout.
If you just want to be like, if you're really focusing on being a layout artist, then that's what you need to focus on. Focus on showing that on your showreel, and really become really good at that, of showing different versions of shots, that you're merging multiple assets into a shot and merging it to the plate that you have there as well. And I think that would be what I would really recommend you doing. Because as a CG, your showreel is good, but it just, there's a lot of dead ends on the showreel. That's the thing, First of all, because you kept telling me, oh, I don't have that file anymore. Oh, I don't have that file anymore. So you can't even tweak these shots. So you kind of have to like start thinking about the other showreel. Start fresh on another showreel for sure. But don't get don't be don't be sad about my feedback. It's
no I'm not at all. Thank you very much. And you're completely right. This a lot of, as we were saying, a lot of this content was from 3 years ago or 2 years ago when I was looking at it as a fan, and now I'm trying to transition to being a professional. I should have a more professional showreel.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really important attitude for sure. And I as you've been saying throughout the showreel, you know exactly the issues you have on your showreel. You know exactly what's going on. You know exactly what you need to do to them. So don't lose. You are talented. You're especially very talented on making compositions and making camera moves, and also making the shots look cool from those perspectives. Because I definitely noticed that on the first shot, the fly over through the grass into the water. Also, the campfire shot has that as well. Even the Spider-Man shot has a really nice touch with the camera move as well. So you're very good at that. So you could progress more into that instead of just like thinking about layout. Maybe also consider rendering and lighting, because with your cinematography background, I do think you would fit into a rendering lighting position, because you have a good eye for lighting and you have a good eye for composition, and so it's already half of the battle is already done for you to become a good lighting artist. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Exactly. Cool, man. And don't forget to put your best shot on the beginning of the reel. And I think from your entire show reel, I think your last shot is the best one. The one you did at Rising. And also it's a good story because it's part of a company, it's part of an internship, and it's like a good way to start, to showcase your work. Cool. Well,
thank you very much.
With that in mind, is there anything else that you would want to ask or talk about?
Well, the only thing I can think of is going into the first job, and like my long-term goal is to become a VFX supervisor like you are, and because my experience on sets working on that kind of thing, I think would benefit me, and being able to do the layout where I'm working on my cinematography as well. Going from being an artist to a VFX supervisor, was that a bit of a jump? And how did you go about going into VFX Soup?
Well, as most visual effects supervisors, you first have to kind of like achieve a very high credibility on a specific position. And so normally VFX supervisors either come from being compositors or they come from being lighting artists. That is the common thing. That's the common practice because it has a larger connection with film, lenses, and cameras. And so, and especially photography.
Sorry, just one thing. From what I've been told with the course and where I did my internship, they always talked about layout being the camera lenses type of people. They're doing the camera animations, they're doing the placements of buildings and stuff. But you're saying that's all coming from the lighting side. So is there different schools of thought?
Well, it's not different schools of thought. You need to like understand that the camera, the setup of the camera itself, what lens they use and what camera position they use will largely depend of what was shot with the camera. And so obviously if you're talking about a full CG shot, yes, then of course that comes from there. But ultimately it comes from the director of the project, not really from the layout artist. The layout artist will just do whatever the director wants them to do. But I'm more talking about like if you have shooting involved, because a visual effects supervisor, unless you're talking about visual effects supervisor not on set, like if you're talking about on-set supervision, those would be supervisors that would be working in shots that were filmed. And so they come from whatever was filmed on set with the lens decision of the DOP and the camera decision of the DOP. So the layout artist won't have much to say about that shot because it's done already. So he just has to like basically accommodate and put shots, assets into that layout of whatever was tracked, except if they change the shot or if they do a turnover to CG. That's a different thing, of course. And in fact, like the camera work really starts in previs. Really, to be honest, it does start a lot in previs and with previous artists. Together with the directors or an art director if the art director is involved in the project. So that's the thing. What I'm talking about is like the knowledge of lighting and rendering, which is hardly very connected with compositing, because most of the render lighting artists these days are compositors as well, and vice versa. So a lot of the compositing artists do lighting and rendering, and a lot of lighting and rendering artists do compositing. Those are, because they're finishing shots, they're very connected with the final look of the shot, the lighting of the shot, and how to finesse the shot. And so from my experience, the majority of the supervisors that I've met in my career and in my life have come from that background. Of course, there are also supervisors that came from layout and from modeling, but it is more common usually that they come from either being a compositing supervisor or a lighting supervisor, because they are the ones that are usually in charge of the project. And that's really the step for you to become an on-set supervisor. You usually become, you have a position on the company, of course, and then you become a lead on that position. Then you become a sequence lead. And often, if you advance and continue in your career, then from sequence lead or lead on a position, then you become a supervisor. And then once you become a supervisor, there are two supervision positions. You either become a supervisor in the company, or you become a supervisor that goes on set, or you become a supervisor that does both. So it depends on the size of the company and depends on the size of the project. So if you look at a big company, like if you look at DNEG, they would have in-house supervisors and then people that only are on set, and they are never in-house. And even inside a production, you might have several supervisors. That's why when you look at the Oscars, for example, I'll give an example. When you see the nominations of the Oscar for Best VFX, there's not just one person. Usually it's like 4, 5, 6 people on stage, because those are usually it's the production supervisor, which is hired by the production itself, and that's the overhaul supervisor. And then inside each company, there's multiple supervisors. From each company, there's one supervisor. And sometimes they might all have been on set, or they might just one of them been on set. Really depends. So your path to become on set really depends on also the path you do from now on. So if you work on a more commercial side of the world, like if you work in commercials and on short films and on music videos, the path to be on set usually becomes more clearly from a generalist point of view. You become a generalist, then you become a lead CG artist, then you become either a head of CG or a CG supervisor, and then you start going on set. So that's if you work in the commercials world, Now, if you work in the film world, it's a little bit different because there's a lot more steps and a lot more different positions going on. If you go into the company, you might become a junior, then you become maybe a layout artist, and then maybe you become a lead layout artist, and then become you start growing to the ranks of the company, and then at some point, once you're in the company or staff in the company, you can then tell the company, okay, I really would like to be on set. And then you start going on set sometimes, and then you start slowly going more and more on set. And if it goes well, if the directors like you, and if you do a good job, then you become progressively being more and more on set and more involved on that side. I have friends of mine that are supervisors that don't want to go on set. They just stay on the company and they supervise the dailies and supervise the team in house, because that's also a type of supervision which is very important as well. So it really depends on the path you take. Depends also on the size of the company that you're going to go for. I would definitely say that it's more common that lighting, finishing, and compositing artists are more commonly progress to supervision, but that's not the case that it doesn't exist the other way, of course. But because I'm saying this because it's not very common for you to see, for example, an animator become an on-set supervisor, or for a modeler to become an on-set supervisor, or there are certain positions that don't usually go that way, and that's mostly because the person doing that position usually becomes. Give an example. I know you're not a modeler, but if you're a modeler, for example, your progression will be to become a lead modeler and then a senior modeler, and then you might become a head of the modeling department. And if you become the head of the modeling department, you're not going to go on set. You're just going to become the supervisor of all the modelers on the company. Yeah. So it really man, it's up to you, really, Riley. You're the one that has to do that path, because if you're super interested on being on set, you need to say that to the company already. You need to say to the company, I would love to go on set. I have experience and I can do anything on set if you give me a chance. And then you go and assist another supervisor, and then you start your path that way. I would advise you to do that. Because the supervisors on the company, there's always a couple of people on the company. They're always on set. They might need assistance. They might need help. They might need juniors to come with them and tag along, So that's a way of progressing into on set,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you very much for this.
No problem. No problem. Okay. Anything else, or?
No, I just want to say again, thank you. I know I was a very last minute addition, and yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for looking over my showreel, and I'm definitely going to putting it into the terms of it's a fan showreel. Definitely is I'm not a fan anymore. I want to be a professional. So exactly. That's definitely put everything in a new light, and I'm definitely going to move forward with that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I appreciate that, and I hope that helped you. And you're always welcome. Always come back if you want, and return to the reel review if you have a new reel. Come over and we can talk about it. And I wish you all the best of luck, and have a great day, my friend. And we'll talk soon. Well, I hope.
It's 2 a.m. over here, but I will have a good night.
So sorry for being so late, but have a nice night, and I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Okay, cool. Thank you so much. That was great. So thank you so much for joining. I know that we are running quite late, so I do apologize for our next show reviewer, but we need to do a break because we've been going on for an hour and a half, and I have a really runny nose at the moment. I need to go and blow my nose. I do apologize for that, but I am still under the weather. I'm still a bit with a cold, and so my voice is taking it a bit of a toll. So I'll be back soon. Remember how this goes. We always do a 1 hour. It's always a 1 hour. Sorry, a 1 hour, not a 1 hour. It's always a 10-minute break that we do. And we'll be back in 10 minutes. I'll put a timer. And I hope you come back for the next review. And also we have the giveaway of the Nuke course as well at the end. So I see you all very soon. And be back in 10 minutes. Okay, we are now back. Thank you so much for still being here. It's been a long stream for sure. And so we have now the second showreel review. Don't forget that we have a giveaway of my new course at the end of the stream. I'm just gonna put it up here on the screen here for you to see it. So you can I put in the link on the chat there. So if you are interested on winning my Nuke course, just hit that QR code or that link or the link on the chat, and you can win my course. So and again, forget that this is the honest showreel reviews that we are doing currently. We do them every 2 weeks. Now remember, we're not doing them 2 weeks from now because I'll be at the FMX, like I've explained previously on the stream. Also, don't forget that if you're interested in good food, don't forget that my wife's book, Green Recipes for All, is now available on paperback, hardcover, and Kindle edition as well. I have the book right here. And so if you like good food, you don't need to be vegan or vegetarian. You will enjoy them. I can promise you that, since I've enjoyed them very much. It's available on all Amazon marketplaces, so it doesn't matter where you live. And yeah, so let's continue. And again, thank you so much for BenQ for the amazing support that we get every year on the channel. And with that in mind, I'm just going to run the BenQ commercial for a second, since they are the sponsors of this stream. So as I said before, couldn't do these streams without BenQ. So thank you so much, BenQ. Let's roll the commercial and we'll be right back. Okay. Thank you so much again, BenQ, for supporting the channel so much. Can't thank you enough for all this support over all these years. Okay, so we're gonna continue with the showreel reviews. This time we have, let's see here. Let's bring up our next contestant and see what they have to show us. So we're gonna get the meat up here. So new meeting, instant. Okay, I'm gonna just like send that their way. Okay, let's see if they're here. Hopefully they're here, and then I can start this thing. Okay, let's see if they're here. Okay, so are you ready? Here is the link. Okay, hopefully they're here, and then we can start this last review before we do the giveaway. So let's see here. Okay, so they're here already, so I'm gonna admit them and hopefully for the best. Okay, so how you doing? Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine. Okay, I'm gonna put you in on screen. So hello, my friend. I hope I don't mispronounce your name, but is your name Amogh? Is that how I say it?
Yes, Hugo. My name is Amogh,
Okay.
and yeah, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. I really like your background. That's good.
Yeah, it's now I'm inside the grads.
So, Amog, tell me things about you. So, first of all, thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for joining the showreel reviews. I'm always very happy that people join in and or happy to share their work and share their experiences. So, thank you for being part of this. And
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Of course, my pleasure. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell me what you do, where you're calling from, what's going on?
My name is Amogh. I'm from India. I'm from Bangalore. Uh, I have a 3D background before I did a bachelor's degree for animation, and yeah, it was basically a foundational course for me. I learned a lot of basics about VFX, and by the end of my term there, I got an opportunity to do an internship in MPC in Technicolor and for rotoscoping. And after that, I worked at MPC as a rotoscope artist for about a year. And that's when I realized that I can do a lot more and I have the eye for it. And then I started to look for ways to learn more. And I came to Canada, to Toronto, and I did two programs. I did a 3D modeling program to learn about modeling and the CG aspects of things. And I realized that I'm more interested in compositing. And then I did another course at Seneca College, and I focused more on compositing and lighting as well, 3D lighting.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and my goal is to be an on-set supervisor, just like Rafael from
Mm-hmm.
previous.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm working on towards that right now, yes.
Okay.
But
Okay.
for this demo reel, my main focus is to get into the industry as a compositor.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is this show reel that we're gonna see like been sent already, or are you still in the process?
No, I'm still in the process. I'm making the last minute changes or any corrections that I would need. I'm trying to get more feedback from different perspectives.
Ah, good, good, cool. Well, let's have a look at it and let's share it with everyone, with the world. So I'm gonna present here. Just give me a second. Okay, so that would be that window. Oh yeah, sorry, that's the one. Entire screen, screen one, share. Okay, cool. Okay, let me just move this around here so I don't need to, so that everyone can see everything. Give me just 1 second. Okay, cool. So, okay, cool. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna take the sound off as I usually do. I don't want to be claimed on YouTube by anyone. So let's just roll the dice here. Let's just roll the show reel, and we can talk a bit about it. I put it on full screen, and so you can see my screen, right?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. So first off, congratulations by doing Work in Napoleon. That was an Oscar-nominated film. So congratulations on that, of being part of that. I'm sure you were very happy that they were nominated.
yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's
great
an
working on that show.
it's an outstanding. We did an episode on the Visual Effects Notes podcast about Napoleon. The visual effects are outstanding, and in fact, I must say, I think the visual effects of Napoleon are the only good thing of the film, because the film is not very good, but the visual effects are absolutely stellar. So they're absolutely mind blowing. So well done, and I'm really sorry that you had to live through the internet break, like the internet meltdown of the film having no CGI.
Ah, horror.
I do apologize for that, but we try our best. Me and Ian, we did the episodes. It's been watched by like 20,000 people. We try our best to share to the world as much as we can from all this nonsense. Both me and Ian and also Jonas on his wonderful no CGI series as well. So we try, but it's great that you. This shot is outstanding anyway. But let's start off with this. So okay, first off, first shot, the Napoleon shot. I must say, I'm not even going to say anything. This shot is outstanding, and so you say here that you're responsible for the matte extraction of foreground and middle ground horses and characters.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this. How was it working on this shot, and how was it?
Yeah, this shot was actually the one of the biggest shots that I worked on for Napoleon. And yeah, it involved a lot of work because the camera almost moves like 180 degree.
Yeah,
So extracting match for that and tracking that was a challenge. I
yeah,
had like used many different methods, like planar tracking wouldn't work for everything. So yeah, I used like a single point tracker and like animated a couple of shapes. And yeah, I did a lot of bunch of stuff here. The main thing that I rotoed here was the white horses and the and Napoleon on top of it,
hmm
and the four characters in the middle ground.
yeah. These dudes here, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it,
everything was below, I mean above the knees of the horses, so I didn't have to worry about nothing uh, too complicated like hair roto of horses or something like that.
yeah, and I guess someone else did these dudes on the back here. I guess.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
assigned to one of my colleagues. Yes.
yeah. So first of all, really cool that you got one of your shots on the showreel because that's a lucky thing. You know, not everyone is that lucky to get their shots on the reel.
I was
Um,
actually lucky in that aspect because I got two shots on the reel, on the breakdown.
that's cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, well, this is outstanding work, my friend. Rotoscoping, really high quality. We can we can see it here. I need to take out the sound. The sound started going up. We can clearly see it here on the main plate. This is so difficult with all the hair detail and the white horse and the motion blur and everything on the top here. And then these dudes here as well with the flag and the whole thing just moving. And this is just the end of the shot because obviously the beginning of the shot is even more tricky because he's going so quick.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine how hard it was to kind of like extract all of this from that sky. So well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Very well done. I have nothing to say. I keep saying this on my show reviews that when it's a production shot, I really don't have much to say, except from an artistic point of view, because this shot had a supervisor. It was Oscar nominated. I mean, who am I to say anything? The shot looks flawless. So you know, and I'm glad that you put it on the beginning of your show reel because it's very good.
Thank you, thank you.
So let's move on to the next one because this one is really good. We already know all about it, and it's an outstanding shot. And funnily enough, it's probably one of the shots that I show as an example to tell people that Napoleon was not all shot on camera, because this is the perfect example to show the thousands of CG extras that the film has. Because they did, you know, to their credit, they had hundreds of people on set and they had huge amounts of stuntmen and horses on set, but nothing compared to this. This is like thousands of soldiers here. So, yeah. So, let's move on. So this shot here, which is from my course, I don't really also have much to say. I think you did a fantastic job here. I can't really see anything with the roto and the paint and all the removal of the rigs and everything. It's quite flawless. You even kept the integrity of the lighting of the rigs. You didn't change the plate too much. It's pretty much spot on. Also, the hair there is also spot on. Yeah, you're very talented. This is really good work. So yeah.
Thank you. This was actually amazing. It was like I think my second ever paint shot that I ever did in my whole life. And yeah, it was amazing. For the green screen, I actually keyed it. I keyed the part where there's a head, there's a green head
Yeah,
near the
yeah, yeah,
puppet.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
it was nice. I used different techniques to approach different things. On the
Yeah.
left side, I actually did the roto for the fur,
hmm
and yeah, it was an interesting project.
Cool. Well, Shout out to Ricardo. He was the teacher on this shot on my course, and he's a very talented artist. And shout out to Ricardo Ferreira, which was the artist behind these classes. Cool. This was a really fun project that I did when I was at the mill. It was a really fun project because it was such a nice project to be involved for the BBC. Okay, tell us a little bit about this project here. So this is footage from Action VFX. You did some key and compositing. So what's going on here?
Yeah, as I already had the story from the footage for this shot, so I basically decided to add elements like the um, muzzle flash and bullets, and I did a bullet socket animation like rotoed and made an animation for it and gave it a motion blur. And yeah, that's basically the whole shot. And I did the green screen king. Yeah.
Cool. It's looking really good. I think it did a really good job. Let's start one at a time. So if I start like, yeah, and by the way, I just wanted to like tell everyone that Action VFX is a fantastic resource for you to get plates. They have a lot of plates for people to download for free, for you to use on your showreels, and they're really high quality plates. So everyone needs to go and support Action VFX and really go there and download the plates and use them on your showreel, because they are doing an outstanding job over there with all the plates that they're providing and the amazing support they're providing to the community, you know. So, okay. First off, I would say that it's really cool what you did here with the muzzle flash. I like that you've done a full reflection on the car. I would say, though, that it kind of looks to me like the reflection perhaps should have been broken up a bit better in between the different reflective parts. I kind of feel like you could have had different tonalities of reflections on the part of the glass, and then the part on the outside of the bonnet of the car, and then on the part of the window as well. I think it would have benefited, but this is a very small nitpick. I think you did a really good job. I don't think it's a big deal. It's really, really tiny, a little detail. And then the other thing I would say is that perhaps it would have been nice for you to light up a little bit more, a connecting light affecting the hand and the front of the weapon. And I do realize that this is daytime, so you would never get enough light to face her face, but at least a little rim light on the finger, a little rim light on the, I guess, I don't know what the name of this part. I don't really know much about guns, but a little rim light on the finger, a little rim light on the weapon, so that you would pick up some speculars hitting the front here, the front there, the front here. Would have been a nice touch. But again, it's a very, very small nitpick. I think you did great with the bullets, the motion blur of the bullets. They're really cool as well. It's all working really well. So from that side, the shot is really looking good. Now, the keying itself, it's also looking fantastic. I think you did a great job with the hair extraction. I think you kept a lot of the detail. You can kind of still see the semi-transparent hairs, and you can really, really notice how you've like actually not lost most of the hair. This is a very tricky thing to do, and it's looking really nice. I would say that perhaps I don't think your flare is looking very realistic. I think that this flare is looking too much like a pentagonal shape. It would have been nice if the flare would have been a bit more broken up and a bit more destroyed by the optical of being on the side of the lens, since the side of the lens is always more distorted and has more chromatic aberration. So I would definitely do that, and not to mention that flares, usually, you know, it's also too sharp. It should have blurred more on the edge of the frame. So I would definitely tweak that. I think it could have looked better. But yeah, it's a really well accomplished shot.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Cool. You also left some smoke as well, which is nice. That's really nice. You do have like the antenna here is getting almost incandescent. You need to be careful with that. The antenna of the car is kind of like picking up quite a lot of the light. I think you went a bit too far. Because if it would have lit up the antenna so much, then you would have definitely seen more light coming through the car and through the fingers and everything. So be careful with that. I think you went a bit too far there. Okay. And the background, is the background also given by Action VFX, or did you got the background yourself?
No, it is also from Action VFX. Yes.
Okay, cool. Cool. Excellent. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Okay. So Jojo's art is asking, not sure about the reflection. The car window is rotated in a way that the reflection would be so far down it would be almost not visible. Well, am I wrong to say that this gun on the window, that's the actual reflection, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is there. Okay. So it wasn't you putting it in there.
No.
Yeah, it's on the plate. So definitely the reflection is real. So obviously the muzzle flash would stay there. As much as the muzzle flash, I think, is the thing that needs to be tweaked, like in terms of the tonalities of the reflections going through the car would have been probably in different lighting, and they would have had different, because it would have been darker here and brighter there. It would have been like a bit more broken up.
Yeah, right now it's just matching for the tinted bluish car paint.
Yeah, exactly, which is nice, and I think you would have been nice to have 3 levels. I do like the nice touch that you have, like a bit of a little rim there with the light as well. That's nice. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the next one. So next shot. Okay, just a second. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about this. What's going on
Yeah.
here? Beautiful sunset.
Yes. This was the shot that I did like recently, like most recently, because I didn't have much time on the shot, to be very honest. Uh, I'm still working on it, and this is a CG render from one of my colleagues in MPC. Uh, yeah, he also makes tutorials, and I took this shot from him and developed my own look for it. And yeah, it's a deep compositing shot, and uh, yeah, pretty much
Did your
that's it.
friend do the water simulation as well?
Yes, he says that it was from one of his other friend. He's
Mm-hmm.
actually a compositor, but one of his other friend who's an effects artist from the mill gave him these renders. Yes.
Cool. It's looking really good. It's looking really good. So I think from a compositing point of view, I think it's looking really nice. There's a few issues that I would like to talk to you about. So let's start with small things. I do think these rocks falling down should have motion blur. So if
Yeah.
you are not having access of vector blurs, or you cannot afford to render motion blur in 3D, then maybe consider applying some fake motion blur by doing 2D motion blur to them. But they definitely should have motion blur falling down, because they're too sharp falling down. So that's nitpick number 1. Nitpick number 2, I think you did a fantastic job with everything, but this boat on the back, on the distance, is really noisy, and so I think that's really letting down your comp. You have an enormous amount of noise in the speculars, and I think it's perhaps linked to apologies. It's probably linked to lack of sampling and lack of quality on the render. It just needs more samples and perhaps a different approach to backlighting. It's just flickering a lot, and it's really a bit distracting, which is a shame. So The other thing as well that I would say is that your depth of field is a little bit weird because you have depth of field on the end of the water there, and then depth of field on the boat, but then your sky is relatively sharp. So you need to decide if you're gonna have depth of field on the whole thing, then you need to put that on the sky as well.
Yeah.
But from my opinion, I feel like it would have been nicer if it was sharper. I feel like the boat could be sharper, and maybe the sky could be sharp. Like this horizon could of course vanish into the horizon by blurring on the edge there. That's nice. And fogging it in, especially on the right side here, that's looking really nice. So you can definitely fog it up, but I don't think this boat would be defocused. I think it would be sharp. So maybe put the depth of field only starting after the boat. I think that would be good.
Yeah, actually, the CG had too much noise on the shot, so I went for a shallow depth of field.
Mhm.
Uh,
Trying to hide
s-
it.
yeah, and just reduce the size so it doesn't look too fake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think somehow the sky is missed from it. Yeah, I need to fix all of that. Yes.
Yeah, if you can't re-render this again, that's going to be a problem. See what you can do. Maybe perhaps it almost looks like it's not even pre-multiplied. It's so pixelated and so noisy.
Yeah.
If you can't render this again, maybe consider doing it as a still and then moving things manually. Like if you, because then at least it wouldn't flicker. So if you make it as a still and then still keep the water connection on the bottom and move him in as a card, and then maybe have the flags moving in comp. You can probably warp them and maybe warp the flags. At least that way you could have a clean boat without all this noise flickering.
Mhm.
So, oh yeah, just like me, it's funny. Mikhail just suggested the same thing. He just suggested maybe replace the ship on a 2.5D ship.
Yeah.
I think that would have helped. The rest looks great. I love the volumetrics and the atmosphere. The sun looks really HDR, looks really nice, really punchy. The water's looking great. So yeah. I think yeah, this is great. But can you render it again or not really?
No.
Okay.
But I'll try to use new gizmos and I'll try the 2.5D method as well.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. And if that doesn't work, you could always try to get another asset, maybe. But
Mhm.
I definitely think it's a shame because the shot looks really nice. And if you look at it, even if you let's wait a little bit here before you put the depth of field. Yeah, that's the moment. So I'm gonna just like go to the frame where you don't have the depth of field. See, without the depth of field, the shot looks so much more realistic. You see, like, of course, I'm missing the depth of field on the front there. That would be nice, but this ship definitely needs to be a little bit sharper. Maybe still have a bit of depth of field, but I feel like it needs to be less defocused. I think you went too far. Maybe cut by half or something.
Yeah, I
So
have the CG camera and yeah, it doesn't have too much depth of field.
yeah,
This
exactly.
was completely like to hide the grain. There's
Yeah,
no other reason.
yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Well, that's it. That's your showreel. So very well done. Really good shots here. Where's the other Napoleon shot? You didn't put it on the reel?
No, I thought like I already have a roto shot to show, and this one is a complicated one, so I just left it.
Yeah. I You take my advice as you want, of course, but I do think you should put it in because Napoleon was Oscar nominated. It's a really important film for the visual effects, like Visual Effects Society, and also for the Oscars and the BAFTAs. I think you should put as much production shots as you can on your show reel, and slowly remove the personal shots and shots from tutorials. So as you progress on your career, start removing the Hugo's desk shot, start removing the action VFX shot, and only have production. And if you have a second shot from Napoleon, I would advise you put it in, because it's just gonna bring more gravitas to your showreel, and it's gonna make it more impressive. And especially because your showreel is quite short, it's only 1 minute and 16, so you can definitely go to 1.5 minutes and have that extra shot in.
Mhm.
So I would advise you that. Cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. So do you want to talk about anything else, or any questions you might have? Anything else that you? I'll keep the showreel looping for a little bit more, and then I'll take out the showreel and just have our talking heads.
I have a couple of things to talk about. Like, I'll start with um, my question. I have a gizmo that I'm making,
Yeah.
which is for relighting. I made it specifically for this ship, and I thought it could be a gizmo of its own. I used like the specular pass and the normals pass, and I made a basically extracted highlight regions for where I wanted the highlights using a roto on the speculars, and then matted it over from the normals and have like a specific direction of light. And
And when you're
I'm
saying ship, you're talking about the ship on the last shot?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, cool. Is that what happens? Because there's a moment here on your breakdown that
Mhm.
we have the light direction coming from the other side. So I think it's here. Let me just go through here, the breakdown. It's here. So I noticed that there is a light shift just at the end there. Is that what you're talking about? Because in here, the ship is like that, and then suddenly there's like a rim light coming from that side. Is that it?
Uh, this was a glow on the highlights. Just isolated the highlights and glowed it. But before that, on the initial breakdown of the ship, I have a slide that goes. I'm not really sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
it would
was
be that
the
one. I
yeah
think it's that one. So you have that, and
yeah
then
I
you basically have the light there. Is that's what you're talking about, isn't it?
I know that it's breaking PVR if I do a relight here, and yeah, that's why I kept it as subtle as possible.
Hmm. Yeah, but it's looking great. So this is the gizmo you're talking about, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
it
and
looks great. Yeah.
I was wondering like how would I show it on my demo reel? Like how do I showcase a gizmo?
So is that something that you would like to be? You would like to be a composting TD? Is that what you would like to do? Would you like to do more gizmos and scripts, or is just this one that you've done?
Uh, I would like to make more gizmos and stuff, but as a professional, I want to be a compositor, but also help out my colleagues make a gizmo and send it over, that kind of thing.
Hmm. Because that's a different position. Like being a composting TD, a technical director. You probably, if you go to a film company, you'll end up probably composting less and making more pipeline tools and tools for your other fellow artists.
Mhm.
So, and for you to showcase that on a showreel, then you should showcase pipeline work. Should show the gizmo in action. So, imagine having the menu of the gizmo superimposed on top here, and then when this gets activated, we see the slider moving. So
Mhm.
that people understand that there's a gizmo. But if you're going to show that, you need to be aware that if you're going to send this as composting showreel, most of the marketing and recruiters and people watching the showreel are going to expect a rotoscope, like a composting showreel. So they're not necessarily going to either understand why you have a gizmo there.
Mhm.
So I would advise you, if you want to be a TD, if you want to do more, then make more gizmos and then make a reel for that, and then you have a reel for composting. Um, Now, if you only have this gizmo, you
Okay.
could mention it on the interview. And obviously, if you really want to, you could write it down here, and you can
Mhm.
have just a little glimpse of the gizmo interface for a little quick moment here during the video. So you do your breakdown, and then maybe after you can show the interface of the gizmo and just mention that it was made like this, and then show it in action, maybe by zooming into the boat or something. So, but yeah, so I think just be aware that that's a different position from compositing. So, you know.
Okay. And yeah, my second thing is you are an actual inspiration to me because I want to be a VFX supervisor one day. And I know that you also have sciatica, like the lower back pain.
Yeah.
And I've been recently having back injuries and sciatica, and it's been really difficult to actually go out, shoot something, and do a lot of stuff. And it has been mentally like affecting me. And
Mhm.
I wanted to know how you deal with it on a daily basis, and how do you push yourself and go on set and do stuff?
Well, yeah, I guess that's a really good question. Not a lot of people talk about that. I really struggle with sciatica, yes, for a long, long time, because I've been sitting for way too long. I've now been sitting on my desk in professional since '99, so it's been like 26 years now. Even if before that I was already sitting because I was on my computer or playing games or doing or messing around with softwares on my computer. So I must admit that I probably have been sitting down since, I don't know, like since the early '90s, probably on a desk. And so it's definitely had its toll for sure. And so I'll share with you a little bit of my story with that, because I'm feeling much better these days. I must say. So when I first I'm gonna open up my Google thing here because I want to show you some stuff. I don't have photos of it, but I can show you similar stuff things. My sciatica back problem started happening about 2000, 2002, 2003, and at that time, the solution I got was a standing desk. You probably know that, right? So I had a desk. I think it was an IKEA desk. It was a standing desk with a motor. You can also have like standing desks that don't have motor and have a crank. That's also really useful. I know I was in Sweden at the time, so I got one of these. Apparently it still has the same name. I didn't know that. So this was in 2000 something, and basically they just allow you. And at the company I was working for called Animec, they had one of these standing desks, and it really changed my life because it allowed me to work standing up. And as you can see here on the video here, it allowed me to sit down sometimes. So I would probably work half an hour standing up and then half an hour sitting down and then half an hour standing up, you know. So you can either buy a motorized one like this one, or you could buy a manual one. There's no problem with the manual one. A manual one is fine. You just crank it up and crank it down. You just do have to have a pretty good solid cable management so that you can go up and down with everything, you know. So you need to like think about that. Now, if you're working in a company physically, you need to talk to the company and see if they can provide you a standing desk of some kind. This really changed my life at the time, Amogh. So this was a turning point. Started feeling much better. This didn't solve everything, of course. At the time, what I started doing was I first went to a physio practicer, you know. He didn't really help me at all. It wasn't good enough for me. What really helped me was to go to, here in London, we have a lot of these, like Chinese practice medicine where they do needles. And so I started doing a lot of acupuncture in Chinese practices. And so they gave me some supplements. They made some massages and I did a lot of needles on my legs. And that solved a lot of the other problems as well. So the first thing was the desk that I got. That helped a little bit. So I started being able to stand. And I must say, for a while this was really bad. Like I was so bad with my leg that I couldn't even fly, or I couldn't even sit on a car, or I couldn't even be on a train because I would be in so much pain that I couldn't sit for more than half an hour. So if I was, like, for example, flying somewhere, I would have to constantly get up, go to the bathroom, walk around on the corridors, and it was always awkward because they always put the belt sign, so you have to sit down, and so it was always a bit of a problem. So this took years, I'm afraid to say. So it was a combination of having a standing desk and then doing needles, and then the third eureka moment was a kneeling chair. A kneeling chair really helped my life, and I don't have a kneeling chair anymore because I don't need it anymore. But the kneeling chair that I used at the time, I was in Sweden. So, of course, in Sweden, they have a specific brand of kneeling chairs that are very famous over there. And so that's the one I bought. I can't remember the name of them, but it was like this, you know. And basically what you do is you sit down on them like this, you see. So that means it forces your back to always be straight, and then you can rock yourself front and back. And so this together with the standing desk and the needles, the Chinese practice needles, ankle puncture, and then this really helped, you know. And it took a couple of years. So I did like 3 years of needles in the Chinese practice, and I spent maybe 5 years using one of these chairs, and slowly I've become much better. And of course, I walk a lot. I had a dog, so I would walk a lot as well. And progressively, I started feeling much, much better. These days, I don't have a standing desk, and in fact, you know, because I'm standing here. You can see it I'm on my desk here, and I just have a relatively good chair. Because I've kind of like solved those problems with needles and with this chair. Sometimes I have pain, but I just get up and walk a bit and then come back to my desk. Those were the 3 changing factors that really changed my life. Now, these days, that I'm not, because I don't have so much pain, I don't necessarily need one of these chairs. And by the way, I'm not sponsored by any of these people. So I'm not sponsored by IKEA. I'm not sponsored by this brand. You can buy a standing desk from any other place or buy a chair from another place. It doesn't need to be this chair, as long as it's a kneeling chair that allows you to do stuff like this. You can put your legs like this, and you can put your feet like this, and it just really helps. And you can even buy a backrest for it. So for a while I had one that had also a back. See if I can find one here. I think it was from this brand called Vadier. Yeah, it was like this one. I think at some time, it wasn't this one. This one is very expensive, but it was like this. You see, it had like a back as well. So that you can be sitting and still have your back there. And the main thing with this is that you can rock your body. That's why it's so good for your back pain, because you can keep rocking the chair. Now, these days, the chair I have, I need to go and check the name because I can remember the name. The chair I have is called New. I always forget the name. Always forget the name of the chair. Now, again, you don't need to buy this one, but I'm gonna share with you why I bought this. I bought this chair called Neo Chair. Again, they're not paying me. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen. I'm so sorry. I forgot to share my screen. Apologies for that. Like, I've stopped sharing my screen, so I'm just gonna like go back to here and share what I was talking about. So, which was this chair here. I think at some point I forgot to share my screen. So this was the chair I was talking about. A kneeling chair that has a back, and it allows you kind of like kneel and rock yourself forwards and backwards. I do apologize that I was not sharing my screen for a while. Apologies for that. And yeah, in these days I have one of these chairs. Now, these chairs are really good because not only they're quite ergonomic, because they have lumbar back support. You see, you have like this kind of, and again, you don't need to buy this one. You can buy any of them, really. It doesn't need to be specifically this one. But as long as you get something that has lumbar support on the back there. And the other thing as well that is very important for me is to have a mesh, because then you don't sweat, you know, below your desk and below your legs and arms, and so that's also very important to have like a full mesh and lumbar support and mesh surface, and that also allows you to go backwards. So I know you don't see it because you're just watching my webcam, but the audience sees when I'm sharing my other camera that I have like a way to kneel all the way back. I can kind of like go back and almost stand horizontal on this chair, you see, like be like this, and that's really good because then you can kind of like go backwards and forwards like this, and you also have like the support here for the headrest as well, so that I'm gonna just lock this here, and then you can also put your leg, your head here as well. So but yeah, that's pretty much it. And I guess I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here. And apologies if that would took a while, but I'm very what can I say? I'm very this is a very important and dear topic to my heart, because it took me almost 10 years to get to a place where I don't have pain every day with this, you know, with the sciatica back problem. But yeah, like I said, it's a combination of Chinese needle, acupuncture, a good chair, maybe a kneeling chair to start with, a good table that can go up and down, and for the love of God, just go and walk. Go out, walk as much as you can. Whenever you have an opportunity, go and walk and go and move your legs, you know. That's it, really.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And yeah, uh, it's actually really scary to think about. Like, I'm still 23 and I'm already facing such issues. And
Oh yeah,
yeah,
no, this problem, by the way, I was like 26, 25 when it started happening. I was 25, and when I was still in Portugal, no, 24, when I was still in Portugal, and one day my leg got so blocked by the sciatica that I had to go to hospital to get an injection to free the muscle. Couldn't even walk, you know. That was how bad it was. I had to go to the hospital in an emergency, get a shot to my leg so that the muscle would relax and I could walk again. So this is very dangerous. And yeah, it started happening when I was 24. So, and now I'm 45. And, you know, it's been almost 20 years since I've been dealing with this problem. And whenever it starts to creep up again, because when I work too long, it starts to come back.
yeah,
And then I know, okay, I need to get up more, need to walk more. I need to maybe do needles for a few weeks. You know, I need to go to the gym a bit. You know, like this is never going to go away, I'm afraid to say. You're going to suffer for this with the rest of your life. And you just need to make sure you make good decisions for your back and leg. And I know it's expensive to buy these chairs, but it's an ultimately great investment. It's
yeah,
an investment in your career, an investment in your work. And it's not just the back problem. I have also carpal tunnel syndrome on my hand, you know. And carpal tunnel syndrome started happening because of the mouse and also because of using the Wacom tablet too much. And so I solved that with using, first I got a vertical mouse. A vertical mouse is quite nice because your hand is like completely static, you know, like it's completely, instead of holding the mouse like this, you hold the mouse vertically. And it's much lighter. So a vertical mouse is great for carpal syndrome. And lately, and this is the problem, your body starts getting used to it. So now I'm having pain even with the vertical mouse as well. So now I bought this. I bought like a wheel, like I bought like a trackball, and this is now much better for my hand. So, and now what I do is I split my time between a trackball, I then sometimes use a Wacom tablet, and I sometimes use the vertical mouse, and I keep changing between all three of them. I keep like doing maybe half an hour on one, 1 hour on the other, and 1 hour on the other, and that really the carpal tunnel syndrome that I had on my wrist is gone because I break up my arm different ways, So that's the same with the chair. There was a time that I had one of these chairs and the kneeling chair, and so I would split my time between the kneeling chair and the normal chair, and that kind of breakup is what will help your sciatica,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, exactly. No problem. And I'm always happy to talk as long as possible about this. And everyone on the chat, make sure you take care of yourselves. The same goes with a good monitor, so that it doesn't affect your eyes. Like I have optical damage on my eyes, and because I've been standing too long on the computers, and really try to get a good refresh rate monitor. Try to get like a professional monitor to help your eyes. You guys all know that I use BenQ monitors. They're really good. They have like eye care, but there are other brands that do that as well. There's a lot of brands. Don't go cheap on these things. Don't get a cheap monitor. Don't get a cheap chair, and don't get a cheap keyboard and mouse. Get something good, because you're gonna spend 8 hours a day using it. So
Absolutely.
exactly, yeah. And you're gonna regret not doing it. I regret it. I wish I had the foresight. I spent my teenage years sitting on wooden chairs and sitting like all crooked and with my legs crossed and my back like this, and it was just stupid. I that's what broke my and not doing exercise enough, of course. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. I took it granted as well, and yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
expect that anything would happen this early, but there is no age limit for this whole
No,
concept. Yeah.
not at all. No, at all. No, there's no age limit, and I think people, when people are young, they feel completely indestructible, and they're not. You're only indestructible until you're like 17 or something like that. No, really take care of your eyes and take care of your because that's the only thing you have. You only have your arms and your legs and your eyes to do work like this. So yeah. Well, I hope that helped in some way. I'm happy to continue suggesting things offline. If you are one of my students, so you can always reach out on Discord, and I can always talk more. Is there anything else that you would like to discuss or talk about?
That's it. That was all. And do you think that I'm ready to apply for jobs?
Yes, I do think so. I think you need to start thinking about. I think you need to put that extra shot. For sure. I'm gonna put my screen again here so I can open up the showreel again. So you're probably seeing the showreel again. I think definitely I would keep the Napoleon shot. Maybe put the other Napoleon shot in. I definitely think the D-Love shot is great for now until you have more professional shots. So keep it until you have other shots. Because slowly you should not have any shots that are not professional on your showreel. The Action VFX shot is also great. I don't really see any issues. You should keep it for sure. I think this one, the CG boat, is the only one that has some issues, which have to do with the flickering. So you should definitely fix this shot. And yeah, that's it, really. Just send it. And when you send these shots, send it to hundreds of places. Don't be shy. You only have one shot, and there's not a lot of positions out there. There's a lot of competition. So send it to any place, even if it's a smaller company. It might be a great place to start, and then you move on to other places. So yeah, that'll be my advice to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. well, I mean, I guess if you don't have anything else, then we're gonna go. We're gonna do the giveaway, and
Thank you.
I hope you best of luck for everything. Always reach out if you need more advice or you want to talk more about your problems and sciatica back issues and everything. So, but yeah, I thank you so much for coming along. And once you have a new show reel, don't be shy. Come over again.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hugo.
No
It
problem.
was amazing. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'll see you all later. See you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye. Okay, so that was great. Thank you so much for coming in. And that's it, really. I think we are now over. We're done with the showreel reviews today. Don't forget, as I was telling you, next week we have Thursday, the 6th episode of the Hugo Disconstructs streams, where I disconstruct some nuke composting for real on the stream. This is, of course, provided by our lovely friends at the Foundry, and we're also going to have a giveaway of a Nuke Indie license for free during the stream, and of course my Nuke course as well. That will be the last stream that I will do before going to FMX. Then I'll be at FMX, so that means we won't have an honest show review the week in 2 weeks from now. Do apologize for that. And then once I come back from FMX, we then can continue and resume the show reviews. Also, don't forget that we have the giveaway that we're going to do now. So the giveaway is going to be done in the next 5 or 6 minutes. I've posted the link on the chat. There's the QR code as well. If you want to be part of the giveaway, just hook up there, and I'll do that. And last but not least, don't forget, as I said on the beginning, while we're waiting for people to still go into the giveaway, don't forget that my wife's book is out. So Green Recipes for All is out, available on hardcover, paperback, and Kindle. So if you are interested in good food, be sure to check it out. It's a really good book. I can vouch for that. I have it right here. And yeah, that's it really. And again, don't forget that the book is available on all Amazon platforms. So you don't need to. Obviously, I'm going to put the link to the Amazon shop there, but and the US shop, but you can find it on Italy, Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Japan, Brazil, Canada, India, Australia, Mexico, Netherlands, Poland, and Sweden. Okay, so let's do the giveaway and go away, because my nose is getting more and more blocked. I am super nasal now. I'm like even talking nasally. I do apologize. I am struggling a little bit. I must be honest. I'm still sick from last week. I don't know what happened. And so let's do the giveaway. We have, oh my God, we have 170 people on the giveaway. Okay. Thank you so much for all that support. That's amazing. 170 people, that's a lot. Okay, so let's do the winners here. And my goodness, that's a lot of people. Let's do the winners and see who gets lucky. Let's see here. So, who is the winner today? Okay, so we have... Okay, let's see here. So, the winner of the Nuke course is... I'm going to struggle to say this name for sure. I'm going to try my best. So the winner of the Nuke course is Fam Huru 3. I think that's how I pronounce the name. I hope so. I really hope so. Are they here? If they are here, they've won my Nuke course. Hopefully they're here, and I can give them my Nuke course. Hope they're here. Congratulations. Are they here? Oh yeah, here it is. Here they are. Congratulations, you've won my Nuke course. It goes all the way to Vietnam today. I already had students from Vietnam, so congratulations with that. Congratulations for winning the course. And I'll be in touch soon. In a couple of days, I'll send you the access login to the course. So, and that's it for today. So don't forget, we'll be back 1 week from now with the Nuke Disc Construction series, and then FMX, and then in 3 weeks we'll be back with the other showreel reviews again. So once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for coming to my stream. I can't appreciate enough. Thank you so much. Much appreciated for all the support you give me every week, week in, week out for the channel. It's really appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm going to go and lie down a little bit because I'm still under the weather. So I'll see you all later and have a great day. And I'll see you all very soon on the next Hugo's Desk stream. Okay? Goodbye, everyone. And I'll see you all later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.